All right, so it's been a busy week in AI news, so I thought that I would recap some of the top news items that have been going on this week and recently in general, but also give you my analysis as both an AI developer and AI entrepreneur who is working with these large language models and other forms of AI on a daily basis. Um, so part of what we're going to go over today, the GPT 4.0 updates, the Google I/O announcements. We're going to go through those pretty briefly because, again, I think the most interesting thing that you'll get from this video is really going to be the analysis because you may have already heard some of these summaries elsewhere, as have I. So I'm going to put it through my filter and give you back what I think is most interesting in reflection of the news. Um, so we'll go over those event updates, but then we're going to talk about AI lies and the lying liars who tell them. This is just sort of some reflection on some other recent news and opinion pieces that have been on the New York Times and on YouTube from some well-known and growing YouTubers who I think are just doing a really disservice to their audience and to the truth. So I'll be sharing those examples with you and we will reflect on them together. My goal is to give you some sort of an interesting um, and objective and as logical as possible take here, so that you can best navigate what is real and what is not in terms of AI news. And then we will close out on that point. Why should you listen to me if you're new to this channel? Well, my background is I've been an entrepreneur since I was 19. Um, I went to a great school, I was very lucky and worked hard to earn my way there. And I started my first business as a college student. And I have been running my current company today for the last 14 years. This month, we started as a web design agency, and then we evolved, productized, and today we have rebranded as Grobo.com, which is a platform for AI growth automation to help other businesses just make it easy to adopt AI into their business. And in spite of this, I am going to again make a commitment to you to be as unbiased and as objective as possible when it comes to giving you my analysis of these news items. So let's start with the first one, which is GPT. Oh, and something else that I think is useful to know about me and why I am allowed or credible on this topic is I have built AI from scratch, and I'm not just talking about like a Python library and 10 lines of code and look at me, I created a neural network. No, I've literally built, without any of the frameworks from scratch, built AI in not in Python, but like literally custom from nothing. So a neural network incubator. Okay, so first news item is the GPT 4.0 O for Omni update and launch on Monday from OpenAI. So you may have heard about this already. OpenAI calls it an Omni model. Omni for trained on vision, audio, and image all in one. I hesitate to say streaming video as some others have leapt to that conclusion, saying, "Wow, like the difference with this one is, because in the demo, if you haven't seen it, the company employees, which I thought was actually a good strategic move from a PR perspective. Instead of having Sam Altman be out front on the demo for this one, it was actually some other less well-known employees and of the OpenAI company, and I think they did a pretty good job. And the demo felt fairly authentic in part because there were like little moments where the AI like almost went off script and you could tell they were a little nervous. But they actually did a good job with the demo, felt authentic, and it wasn't from Sam Altman, who I think people have like really justifiably, mixed reactions to. So, and but again, like some other YouTubers and people covering this, they say, "Oh, this is a big deal because this Omni model, it's if it's on your phone in that context, and you kind of like move it around the room, it's like, oh, what is this? Oh, it's a water bottle. Oh, what is this? This is an iPad, and tell me about this." It it seems more likely to me even though they are using the NVIDIA chips, just the scale at which they're rolling this out, that it's probably not video streaming. It is probably something a step in that direction where it's like kind of like taking a snapshot based on the AI model reasoning, like when it should actually access the camera. So for that reason, I don't think it's streaming. I think it's maybe like, one like taking a picture with a camera like every, I don't know, once a minute or at most, or once every 10, 20, 30 seconds, just because of the computational costs it would require to actually be streaming video, or streaming like images back to back to back like that. um, so I think it's more likely that the AI model is just reasoning with each time that it's prompted on whether or not it should access the camera and image data that is coming in. So it is still quite remarkable. And unlike the Google demo, which was, I don't know, about a month, not actually, like, what was that, 6, 7, 8 months ago, where it was a pre-recorded demo and they drew a picture of a duck and they said, Bard or Gemini, if they had rebranded, they used to call it Bard, now it's Gemini. But they said, Gemini, like, what is this picture of? Oh, it's a duck, and then they changed it and it was like, oh, now it's whatever. And it was quite impressive. But that demo was more staged, and this one was, basically at that level. And but this demo was actually more authentic, showing off that type of technology actually working. Um, so GPT-4o, people are debating right now, is it better? Is it not? Some people say it's worse. Some people say it's better. So we have actually gone ahead and we've integrated GPT-4o already into the Grobo.com platform. And I have to say that I think that overall the experience is better, if only for the difference that it is less expensive. So from a business perspective, that's good. But from the user's perspective and our customers' perspective, I'm excited because it's a lot faster. It's about 2 to 3 times faster in terms of processing um, requests and actually outputting, its answer. And we tested this. They have like a compare tool in the OpenAI platform API where you could run a question to the previous version of GPT-4 and to the new version of GPT-4o, and it was, in those tests, those initial tests, actually I was seeing between 6 to 7 times faster. But now that a lot more people are using it, I think the latency has expanded a bit. So, but it seems to be consistently around 2 times faster, sometimes 3 times, based on server load, whatever's going on their end. So I also saw that. So in terms of quality though of responses, it seems to be about equal. I can't see a major difference that is immediately obvious for sure. One person on Twitter said that it was worse on some coding tasks. Another entrepreneur who ran his own tests of it against Claude Opus. Opus is Claude's, and Claude is from another company called Anthropic. If you're not familiar, they are former OpenAI employees who started their AI company because they had a different opinion on how AI should be created and trained and whatnot, and I guess how they want to run their company. So Opus was tested against GPT-4o, and GPT-4o, at least in this anecdotal test for this one entrepreneur, it significantly surpassed in terms of overall quality of answers. Although in other reports I've seen, Claude Opus has been quite good, at least up until GPT-4o, in terms of logical reasoning and whatnot. Perhaps one of the most interesting things to me is that, at least as far as the performance on tests like the MMLU, which quite frankly, I don't even know what it stands for. I'm still learning and absorbing everything that is going on in the space in real time. But this is one of the key benchmarks. It's just a series of, I believe, multiple choice questions, and there are a bunch of others. and GPT-4o on the others, there's more of a difference in terms of how well it performs. It's still an open question to me. And how what is the standard by which these companies are testing their own models? Um, the graph that I saw, it was unclear if it was actually coming from the company in terms of that test. Was it a one-shot test? Was it an average of multiple tests? Because the way that these models work is if you may already know, like you can ask the same question multiple times and you will get a slightly different, if not very different answer, depending on the certain like entropy, randomness, temperature settings of the model. Um, which temperature kind of helps to like drive level of creativity or difference in a variety of output versus if you turn the temperature all the way down, you ask the same question over and over, it's it's almost always going to give you the same exact answer. It depends though. It all depends. But generally, it's going to give you the same or something pretty close to the same answer. Um, So that more or less is the update on GPT-4o. Let's talk about the Google I/O. Now, I think this, in terms of PR and business strategy, was quite a good move from OpenAI's part. I think they really took the wind out of Google I/O's sails. Um, and I mean sales, not in terms of like money sales, but in terms of metaphorical, like sailing a boat. So, because Google I/O, they would have probably made a bit more of a splash with some of their announcements, but they fell a bit more flat because I think OpenAI, it was just a PR, it was just a PR coup. It was just a little grenade, the day before Google I/O. Um, but some of what they're doing is still impressive. They did a similar demo. It was pre-recorded though, so it actually felt a lot less authentic, and it didn't land as impressive because you just saw it the day before from OpenAI, which was they had an employee walking around the Google office asking their AI, Gemini, "Oh, what do you see here? Where do you think I am? Blah blah blah. Where did I leave my glasses?" Where did I leave my glasses one was particularly interesting because that seemed to be more indicative of something like video streaming where but I think they may have set it up in a way where they asked a question about something previous, like, oh, what's on the screen on the computer? And maybe the glasses were in the bottom right corner. And because you can sort of really massage the way that these models work for better or worse. So if, for example, they took a screenshot of, because one of the questions was, hey, Gemini, what is on the screen? And there was some code. And Gemini was like, oh, well, this is some code about, blah, 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 and it does blah, blah, blah. And that was pretty cool. It was like actually reading the text that was, being shown to it from a phone on this computer screen and interpreting it and giving what seemed like an accurate interpretation of it. Um, but, how did it store that image, that screenshot into memory, unless it actually was video streaming? Maybe. But again, this was not a live demo either. It's possible though that if it could have like summarized the image in some way in like sort of like a background invisible notepad, which might be called memory, and that becomes part of the um, context window that is always kind of loaded into the AI's brain each time that um, that a new message in the chat, or in the conversation, since the person was speaking, would actually be, sent to the AI model. It was unclear, or at least I don't recall, if the Gemini model is just an all-in-one model, or if it's multiple models, just kind of pieced together as well. Unlike GPT-4o's Omni model, um, I believe that it is separate AI models that are working together to achieve that because I think I would have probably come across that fact that, oh, like they're both so-called omni models. Um, so some other announcements in terms of what Google is saying. They have a 2 million context window, which is, kind of a significant differentiator as far as their models. 2 million token context window basically means like you can fit the whole Harry Potter series, like all of the books, which are some of which are quite thick. I haven't actually read them myself, but I know that they're quite big, quite thick, a lot of words. You can fit that into the context memory window of a single AI. They also have something that I thought is particularly interesting, which I'm curious if OpenAI and others will follow suit on this, something called context or token caching. So it's a little technical if you're not a developer of AI, but basically, this has the potential to maybe dramatically lower costs because every time, like, let's say you're having a chat with an AI model, um, to keep costs down, like AI developers right now have to sort of summarize the chat or the context window keeps growing. And so the number of tokens, the context window, it's just more text that's being submitted each time. And so that costs more and more money. So if there's a way to cache it and just kind of reuse that in a way, that unused space, if you will, that could be quite valuable as far as just lowering costs um, for development and incorporation of AI in different products. So um, something kind of ironic, I actually used Chat GPT and GPT-4o to go search online and summarize what happened with this uh, event from Google, and it ended up citing sources from 2023 from Google's previous I/O event, and then it just didn't really do a great job. I had to ask it to kind of elaborate on certain things, and then it's also sort of combined information from the 2023 into its answer. So, the reasoning wasn't so great in that example on Google, or rather on GPT-4o's part. In other news for the Google I/O event, it was kind of like more or less more of the same. They're integrating AI, shocker, into more and more of their products, and they had this big giant stage and they have each of their different key personnel coming out to present. And I just felt more corporate, less personal. PR wise, it's a little flashy, but just it's I guess more incremental progress from their end. But the thing, part of the reason why I think OpenAI is, as far as I can tell, just absolutely crushing it in terms of developer adoption is because their interface and their documentation, I think, is just simpler. It's more straightforward. I tried to actually get access to Bard and Gemini, or Palm in the past, as they were calling it, but just their whole development process for requesting access and the API key management and the user management, it was complex, and that actually prevented me from using their AI and incorporating it into Grobo, for example. So I think in the future, they're probably going to make that better, but it's still clunky corporate, as I would describe it, and it's surprising how much interface counts for. So if they wanted to make a change, they would ideally innovate and improve on that front. They're also incorporating AI summaries into search results. It's like, are they doing this, or maybe my information is wrong because GPT-4o? But I think they did announce this. I think I did see a clip where they're doing AI summaries in search, but it's like, but was this just because it's moving out of experimental mode and I just have beta access? I don't even know. But whatever. So kind of more of the same. They got a lot of products, kind of a complex presentation because there were so many announcements. And again, to OpenAI, I think it's for OpenAI's benefit. They really just have like the one, flagship product, which is their main AI model, and which is now GPT-4o, and delivered through the interface and kind of consumer-facing brand of ChatGPT. So it's simpler, and so the presentation is simpler, and so overall, it's just a more effective rollout and presentation on their part. So I think the PR win goes to OpenAI for sure. I don't think people will really remember this event that much from Google I/O in the weeks and months ahead. Um, Now let's talk about AI lies and the lying liars who tell them. So this um, sort of subheadline of this of the video here is a little bit hyperbolic. I'm going to go through these examples quickly because I don't want this video to be too long. Um, but to preface, this is not intended to be a the subtitle here, AI lies and the lying lies who tell them. It's intended to be a little bit tongue in cheek. I'm considering actually making a longer video about this. I just think that there are many videos that are just kind of like confirmation bias porn, and it's just normal for YouTube. You know, the if you click on different videos in the algorithm, like it's going to try to recommend videos that aren't necessarily going to give you like a complete or objective, accurate truth or whatever in terms of like whatever information is you're looking for, and whatever topic or industry. But it's just what's going to keep you watching. And what's going to keep you watching oftentimes is, well, give me more evidence that I am right. I think from what I can tell from reading comments on a lot of the content that is out there and seeing kind of where certain writers and bloggers are going, there are definitely factions that are developing as far as, drawing lines on AI. AI is, and I mean, this has been happening for a while for those who've been following. There are the techno optimist, accelerationist types, and end of the spectrum are developing, the basically the Luddites of the 2020s. Um, I think the Luddites were, the actual term for people like when during the Industrial Revolution, they would like destroy machines sometimes because they were very fearful that it was going to take their jobs, and the automation was of concern. So I think that we're seeing something very similar here, and I think that some of these videos are just preaching to the choir. Some of them are just giving blatantly inaccurate information, which I think is again not doing people a disservice. And in other cases, the advocacy is really just for it's just self-interested. It's not really looking to be to evaluate objectively or credibly. For example, one of the articles is will AI ever live up to the hype? So we'll go over each of those right now real quick, starting with Tina Wang's video, Big Tech AI is a Lie. All right, let's see what Tina has to say. Okay, we got the infinite zoom there. Here's Tina. I'm just going to show you a quick clip of that. All right, two. All right, first time I'm doing this, so hopefully this all works out all right. Let me adjust this just in case. All right, so here is Tina Wang telling us about big tech being a lie. Let's hear what Tina has to say.
Big tech AI is a lie. I started to think this way back, like over a year ago. Whenever I hear a tech leader say AI for the benefit of humanity.
I mean, I think this is going to be one of the greatest tools.
All right, so I want to fast forward. You can go check out the full video if you want. But basically, she is laying out why she thinks that AI is basically BS, and it's full of hype, and she is, and she's just making that argument. So, for example, and some of the points here I do agree with. Let's see, but she calls this the circle of AI, and these companies they're just all about growth. She coming up with this one article, Meta soars as it pivots to AI, and basically saying that these companies they're just kind of based on just like it's all about AI. Like let's see what Tina has to say. So I'm not putting words in her mouth.
has seen their stocks skyrocket. Nvidia being valued at over $1 trillion now by focusing on generative AI. And my favorite one is Elon Musk being part of that whole white paper signing situation. I don't know if you guys remember this way back in the day, by asking companies to slow down their AI research and AI innovation.
Elon Musk say advanced AI, which allows computers to perform tasks that normally require human intelligence, could pose profound risk to society and humanity.
And now we know the reason why he was such a proponent of that is because he just wanted to give himself time to develop his own AI, Grok, to make the situation.
Okay, so I'm going to pause it right there and address this point. So that is an example of, let me make sure this is good. Testing 1, 2. Yeah. So this is an example of mind reading. So you can have signed that, and this is not in defense of Elon as a person. This is in defense of just the fact that what she is doing here, I think it harms her credibility because there were, I believe hundreds of AI researchers and company founders who signed a letter about a year ago saying that, we think AI poses a potentially existential risk. I think it was like a very simple, we call on AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of AI systems more powerful than GPT-4. But due to the logistics and just the game theory, sort of like prisoner's dilemma type of thing behind the situation, and the fact that, not all governments are going to get together, especially adversarial governments as a team and say, hey, let's all agree to pause. And, there's distrust going on. Again, it's the prisoner's dilemma type of situation. It's not a contradiction to say we should pause AI, and then for Elon Musk in this example to go and release, his own AI model. And he's been pretty clear in expressing his opinion, as someone who originally, I think, helped to create and found OpenAI itself. Then they had a disagreement falling out. And, the company was, now outside of his control. And, he disagrees with the company, how it's being run. It's called OpenAI, but they're closed source, blah, blah, blah. But again, this, to say that the letter was signed so that he could get an advantage, it's just it's a false equivalence, and it's not based on actual observation. This is based on mind reading because you can't tell what was in his mind or in his heart, as far as he did this because it wasn't his self-interest, because so that he'd get it launched. It's but in addition to that, the letter didn't actually cause any companies to pause or slow down as far as anyone can tell at all. So, yeah. And as far the other example given here, and this is the subtitle of this section of the video is called "The Circle Jerk of AI." So, but there is real, there's real valuable benefit and products coming out of these companies who are saying that they are, in AI, like Meta. I think actually just before this video came out 2 weeks ago, as of this video. So at the same time, maybe a little bit before, they released Llama 3, which is an open source AI model. It's quite powerful. I've played around with it myself a little bit. And that's open source. And I think a lot of people are quite happy about that, and it has real tangible benefit. It's trained on a large corpus of data. And this is a model that would be very difficult for just an individual or a small team to create on their own. And it's a foundational model. And they're going to be supposedly launching a much bigger model very soon as well. That's about 5 times the size. And NVIDIA, briefly worth $1 trillion thanks to the AI boom. It's yes, it makes sense because it's not just hyperbole. They are creating hardware that helps to make the AI of today possible. And that's not to say that the AI of today is, perfect. We will talk about that, and I do talk about that in other videos ongoing, how AI is absolutely capable. Like I even cited earlier, for example, like how just the AI just didn't have the reasoning or slightly hallucinated, confusing the 2023 Google I/O event with the 2024 announcements. So it's far from perfect, but it is also providing a lot of value, which is why people are using it. So I think, the argument here in the title of the video, Big Tech AI is a lie, again, starting to fall apart just on these key points that are being raised here. Let's look at one other point and then move on to the next video. 806. All right, so 806.
The agent. I was again sorely disappointed. Seems to be a trend. Now combine this together with a pop-up message from Gemini, which states, your conversations are processed by human reviewers to improve the technologies powering Gemini apps. I don't know, one could maybe even
Okay, so pay attention to this point about human reviewers. Let's keep watching.
start hypothesizing that maybe Google is faking its AI capabilities. And of course, they are not the only ones. Amazon has these just walk-in stores where you're supposed to be able to go inside, grab anything that you need, and then when you walk out, there's facial recognition technology and AI, of course, that's able to charge your credit card automatically. Or so they say. According to the information, there was in fact over 1,000 Indian associates that were watching the cameras and labeling footage of shoppers. Quote, an employee who worked on the technology said that actual humans, albeit distant and invisible ones based in India, reviewed about 70% of sales made in the cashierless shops as of mid-2022. It's just insanity, the amount of lies that we as a public are.
Okay, this is bullshit. This is complete bullshit. And I'm really surprised that this person, I mean, she says at some point in this video that a former employee, if I recall this right, I'm pretty sure in my research for this, I'm not reading off notes right now, but she is a former employee of Meta, of the company that owns Facebook. So I'm very surprised at the it's either willful ignorance or just dishonesty, because I don't get the impression that Tina has a background in actually, training AI, because, the first question that I think as someone who has worked with AI is like, okay, well, the news story actually is not what you would on the surface initially think. So if you haven't like actually built AI from scratch, you might read this story and, about human reviewers, and you might think, oh, wow, like, that's messed up. They're saying it's AI, and actually it's just like, someone or like a group of people in India who are just like actually watching the cameras and, quickly, putting in. It's like, no, that's not the case. Logistically, that would not work and that would not scale. And why would Amazon, lie about that and risk such a PR nightmare if it was true? I mean, if they they put some time and effort into this, this ad campaign, the incentives just don't line up. Why would they just blatantly lie? And I'm not saying that corporations don't lie. Trust me, I'm not saying that. But it just incentive-wise, why would they do it? Why wouldn't they actually like genuinely try to build a store where people could just pick up items and walk out? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because what she's arguing is false. So I went and I looked up the story, and I went to a few of the different sources and the original sources. And if you break it down, let's look at the wording here. So the wording kind of changes based on the source. Like then they say the words up to 70% were labeled. But that's not even really a problem, because in terms of AI, like part of how you actually train an AI is like you need labeled data. And this is how the AI improves. And of course, like, and because why would they only do 70%? Like, let's say that it was true, right? Why would they stop at 70%? If they don't want people to steal, why wouldn't the humans be reviewing, and basically, I guess, doing the work, in some room somewhere? Why wouldn't they do it for 100%? It's because, of course, they want to check the work of the AI because they don't want to lose money, but they're not doing 100% because, again, they are building like a training data set, which then can be fed back into the AI model to make it better. All right. And the kind of untranslated or uninterpreted, I can't tell if it's intentional because I can't read Tina's mind, but when she initially cited at the beginning of this clip, Google discloses that human reviewers may look at your responses. It's not because Google has people in a room who are like quickly typing, the answer to someone's query, and they're able to do it very quickly. It's because they are accumulating a data set. They're using reinforcement learning, and they're feeding that data back into the AI model to make it better. Similarly, Sasha Yanchin used this. He cited the same source as Tina here. Let's actually watch that.
Automatic live system to send you the bill. Well, it now turns out that this AI was actually 1,000 people sitting in a room somewhere in India watching the cameras from the shops and manually adjusting your basket.
All right, so I don't think that we know that from checking the news sources myself here, and I don't want to, I don't quote, but you can go and read this article yourself, and you can see the different articles that are online. Did around 700 out of every 1,000 just verified by these. Yeah, had to be verified. All right, so they were verifying, did the AI model get it right? And then they were making a notation if it didn't. Okay. And the source was an unnamed source familiar with the technology. So one case it says it's a one employee, another is an unnamed source familiar with the technology. It's like, how much of this can you trust? But what you can trust is just the fact that the way that AI works is you need to build a data set, you feed that data set back in, and this is how the models improve over time. It's not some random person in a room, pretending to be an AI, which is, I think it really harms the credibility of these two individuals. And I'm not saying they're bad people at all. I actually agree with some of what Tina said elsewhere in her video, like the fact that Google's UI is very clunky. But now let's move on to talk about this article from the New York Times by Julia Angwin. All right. So the article starts off, and the title of this, by the way, it's kind of a eye-catching graphic, so good job with the graphic. Press pause on the Silicon Valley hype machine. But actually, it looks like they're A/B testing the title here, which ironically might be powered by neural network AI. Because I think the original title was, what was the original title? Yeah, it's Will AI Ever Live Up to the Hype? Will AI ever live up to the hype? So that's a little bit ironic, potentially, and interesting. Briefly, it's hard to believe it's been just over a year ago a group of leading researchers asked for a 6-month pause in the development of larger systems for artificial intelligence, fearing the systems would become too powerful. Quote, should we risk loss of control of civilization, they asked. There was no pause. But now, a year later, and there was no pause. Why? For very, logical reasons. We have a, prisoner's dilemma situation. Again, and governments aren't, just realistically, they don't trust each other enough to really get together and say, yeah, like, let's all, kumbaya, pause and open up the books, open up the locked doors, and, whatever. But now, a year later, the question isn't really whether AI is too smart or will take over the world. It's whether AI is too stupid and unreliable to be useful. Consider this week's announcement from OpenAI's chief executive, Sam Altman, who promised he would unveil new stuff that, quote, feels like magic to me. But it was just a rather routine update that makes ChatGPT cheaper and faster. So This is Julia commenting in her opinion piece here on the Monday event from OpenAI. She says it was just another routine update that makes ChatGPT cheaper and faster. It's true that it's cheaper and faster, but the routine update, I mean, the fact that it is an omni model, I mean, I think this is just a subjective judgment. I think that I haven't seen a major difference. I do think that strategically, they as a company, it's interesting if you wanted to analyze their decision to put GPT 4.0 and give it away for free. That is a big deal. It's giving a much higher quality AI compared to GPT 3.5, which currently powers by default ChatGPT, and giving it away for free, in part thanks to the new NVIDIA chips that they have allegedly, or so they have said. They said in their presentation this was one factor for why they're able to do this. And the fact that you can have this app on your phone, it has the vision integrated capability. You can have more of a more natural flowing conversation where you can interrupt the AI. I mean, I wouldn't say it's really a routine update. And strategically, getting back to what I was initially going to say, they're doing this, I think, because again, they want more data. They want more users to adopt their AI and to use it day to day in their lives and in their work. And the benefit to them is they get more data. And it's sort of like a foothold through their, for example, desktop Mac app and their mobile application into the desktop in particular, where they can it's like a beachhead, where they can further expand and add more capabilities in the near future. So it's interesting and strategic to think about from that perspective. It feels like another sign that AI is not even close to living up to its hype. In my eyes, it's looking less like an all-powerful being and more like a bad intern whose work is so unreliable, it's often easier to do the task yourself. Okay, so let's read a little more. Basically, Julia kind of makes the argument. She gives some of the pros about AI's development. Short little paragraph here. Clearly, though, coming down on it is an opinion piece with I mean, I don't think this is really a truth-seeking article. I think that it is just looking to kind of have a conclusion and then give evidence to support that conclusion. So which is fine. Everyone can have their opinion. And so here she says, as evidence, for the fact that AI is basically hype, and will it ever live up to the hype? But some of AI's greatest accomplishments seem inflated. Some of you may remember that the AI model GPT-4 aced the uniform bar exam a year ago. Turns out that it scored in the 48th percentile, not the 90th, as claimed by OpenAI, according to a re-examination by the MIT researcher Eric Martinez. Okay, so I looked into this a little bit. I went to the cited source here, and let's actually open that up for a second. So in the abstract, like right at basically the summary here at the top, it does say successfully replicated the score, but highlights several methodological issues in the grading of two components of the exam, which call into question the validity of the reported essay score. So it makes sense that in some cases they would get different performance because that's just how these models work. But it's interesting that they say that they actually did get the same score, and yet, and I looked up further in this paper too, like where did it say 48th percentile? It kind of reminded me of the quote, there are lies, damned lies, and then there are statistics. Because one of the 48th percentile references comes from a place where they're saying, well, if you look at it from the perspective of, people who passed the bar exam, then GPT-4 is, in the 48th percentile range. So let me actually find that if you are curious real quick, so you don't take my word for it. Yeah, among those who passed. So give it a read through or plug it into, one of the AI models you trust to summarize it. But if you just skim through it, you can see what I mean. And it feels like cherry picking potentially a little bit here, and like it's massaging, that fact. So how does it, like, I'm not saying that OpenAI should be trusted, but that is quite a big drop. That is quite a big difference. So I am skeptical of this because, I think academia, there are going to be papers like this, first of all. There are going to be papers saying the exact opposite, and there have been many in both directions. But, it's just like this article, I think there is a fear of also, like this could take your job in some ways in terms of journalism too. So I think that might be underlying some of the motivation here as well. I cannot read anyone's minds. This is speculation, but it is also, I think, logical reasoning based on when you look at, what are the economic incentives involved here, right? Because AI is a threat to jobs, and it's a threat to journalism for sure. And what about the claims that Google's claimed that it used AI to discover more than 2 million new chemical compounds? So I haven't investigated that deeply, but I do remember seeing a video about that. Scanned evidence for compounds that fulfilled the trifecta of novelty, credibility, and utility. I mean, was there any value in that? I don't know. It would seem likely that, if Google is promoting this as discovering potentially 2 million chemical compounds for material science, for the benefit of material science, that there would be maybe some nugget of credibility in there somewhere. But this conclusion seems to say, well, there's really not. What is true? Meanwhile, researchers in many fields have found that AI often struggles to answer even simple questions about the law, medicine, or voter information. So I did look at the voter information citation here, and if you look real closely at the cited source here, you'll notice, oh, look at that. It's Julia is citing herself in, I guess this is like a news article / kind of research, and I'm very skeptical when I see anything saying democracy these days. I think a lot of people are. And they give an example which, again, like, I could get ChatGPT to produce, many correct answers, and I could also prompt it in certain ways where it's, or just even prompt it and it's going to get something wrong, even if I'm not trying to make it get something wrong. And so I think they might be cherry picking here a bit. I'm also skeptical of the data, like team evaluations of AI responses. So, I mean, how many people were scoring this? How was it scored? And how is the word harmful? How is that a metric? I mean, I could see maybe giving qualitative answers for incomplete, inaccurate, and biased, but harmful? Like that seems like kind of like moralizing. That's like more of morals related. Like, is it, or at least completely subjective? Like how do you judge in the context of voting information if it's harmful? That does not seem very data driven or scientific to me. So that combined with the fact that Julia is citing herself and the company actually, this is this organization. She is the founder of, not just the writer of this. She is the founder of it. Yeah, credibility wise, it raises some questions here. Researchers have found that AI does not always improve the quality of computer programming. The task does not always improve. I love the wording there. I mean, and this is something I could speak on because I use AI daily to help with coding tasks and to look up information. Yeah, it is not perfect. It's got a ways to go, especially in terms of debugging certain things. But it is quite good and is getting better and better at programming. That makes me laugh. It does not always improve. Oh, okay. Well, watch out. You know what else doesn't always improve? Humans. Humans don't always improve in terms of, or aren't always able to solve a coding task initially when they're given it. So, but it's pretty clear that we're a long way away from Mr. Altman's promise that AI has become the most powerful technology human has yet invented. I think that this statement will age well, and I think that, and not that I'm saying I'm a big fan of Sam Altman per se. I don't know him. I can't judge his character except based on the actions and the evidence that I can see. I do know that for our company and in my line of work, he has produced something. Him and his team, I should say, to be very accurate. The OpenAI team has produced something that is very valuable and helpful to me, and increasingly to our customers as well as we launch and grow Grubbo. So I think that this article is going to age. I predict it will age very, very poorly. I think that, I mean, there is some evidence that AI, and I hope you guys see that I'm working to be logical and consistent and objective here and fair. I mean, there is some evidence that, AI and the different AI models, they're kind of plateauing. They're all kind of creeping up to be about equivalent to each other, some a little bit better than others. But I don't believe long term that plateau, if it is a plateau, will hold. There are certain scaling laws that maybe we could talk about in another video another time, but I believe that this statement, that AI is the most powerful technology humanity will ever invent, I think that will age well, and I think this article and these other videos as well, with some of the specific claims that they use and sources that they cite, will not age well at all. Okay? So go ahead, check out those sources for yourself if you like. And to conclude in the video here, well, I hope you found this video helpful. This is a much longer and more in-depth video than I have done before. It is different from other videos because I'm literally covering the news, and I'm giving you my studied perspective based on my expertise and my experience working with AI technology. Also being a founder, building an AI startup and company, bootstrapped in this space. We see our customers as our investors, and trying to give you just a raw, authentic, analysis of what is happening and what is true and what is actually hype. Although I do believe that a lot of AI is hyped for sure, but I don't think that it is. I don't think it's a lie. I think there is real substance there. I think there is real benefit and value. And I think that the market itself, in terms of consumers, in terms of prosumers, in terms of businesses, I don't think that all of them are wrong in the way that they are really flocking to this technology and adopting it and looking to understand it better and better. I think that there is real substance and real economic value there. I do think that what drives a lot of the YouTube videos, like two of which we looked at, it's clickbait, it's confirmation bias porn, and I think it's also just kind of a lack of of critical thinking and analysis by some of the YouTubers, two of which we cited, or maybe a lack of understanding, because it might just be ignorance on their part too. So, and I say that, you know, respectfully, and I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. So, yeah, turning it back to you. I hope you found this video valuable. Please let me know what you thought of it in the comments. What did you find most valuable or interesting? Do you want me to do more videos like this? Leave a comment, let me know. Like the video, I appreciate it. Please consider sharing it as well. It's one of the biggest compliments that you can give. Helps to continue to motivate me and my team to produce more and more content like this. And if you'd like to learn more about what my team and I are building to make AI actually useful and live up to the hype, go check us out at Grobo, GROWBO.com, Grobo.com, where we are building a platform to help businesses make it easy and fun to adopt AI into their business using AI agents and AI automation workflows that are customizable to their brand and the way that they do business. So until next time, stay focused and keep growing. I'll talk to you soon.